Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, and thanks for joining us with joining us for another episode of 30 Minutes With. This is Downtown Spokane's recurring webinar series in which we bring to you some of the most pressing topics of the day, brought to you by presenters such as industry experts and community leaders. So, my name is Kevin Campbell. I am the Business Relations Coordinator for the Downtown Spokane Partnership and Business Improvement District. And today we're going to be talking about the downtown plan and the current vision for the next 10 years of downtown. So very excited about that. Our presenters today are Andrew Rolwes. Andrew is a colleague of mine here at the Downtown Spokane Partnership, and he is the Vice President of Public Policy and Parking. We also have with us Nate Gwinn. Nate is an assistant planner with the City of Spokane. So both of these gentlemen have been heavily involved in the creation of the current draft of the downtown plan and are going to be walking us through some of its more notable content. So in a moment, I'll pass things over to them. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to just enter them into the Q&A box. And then once they are done with the prepared portion of things, we can use that remaining time for them to answer any questions that you may have. As always, I'll also note that we do record these sessions and put them onto DSP's YouTube channel, so you are able to reference and share this content after the session is over as well. So with that, I will go ahead and pass things over to Andrew and Nate. Gentlemen, thanks for being here with us today. Looking forward to hearing about the downtown plan. And if you are ready, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the opportunity to be on. Hello to everyone that is joining us. I'm Andrew, as Kevin mentioned, with the Downtown Partnership, and Nate is the lead planner for the downtown update process. And we've been at it for at least a year and a half officially, and that is from the start of the first public meeting, and even longer in the lead up to the first public meeting. So really, it's been a 2-year project. So Nate, you've assembled a great presentation for us. You want to get that started?
All right, can everybody see the presentation?
Right, got it.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for having me, Andrew and Kevin. I'm Nathan Gwinn with the city's Planning Services Department, and today wanted to talk about the downtown plan update. It's been 13 years since the 2008 plan was adopted. So we've got 10 to 15 minutes of an overview this morning, and then we'll take your questions during the, as Kevin mentioned. So please think of questions you might ask and enter those in. Finally, we have a call to tell you how you can be involved this week and into the spring for this proposal. The downtown planning area is a sub area of the city's comprehensive plan. And so this map shows that it's centered on the core and then also includes surrounding area south to I-90 and north of the river, both north and south of the river. And that's the comprehensive plan states this should be the thriving economic, social, and cultural center of the region. And it's developed as a unique collection of businesses, neighborhoods, and open spaces with a vision and a plan to which all stakeholders contribute. Again, this is going to assist with guiding development, design, and regulatory recommendations for the next 10 years downtown. And just for reference, there are some sub areas within the downtown planning area, and those are shown here, the North Bank and South University District sub areas. The plan process is divided into 3 parts. There was an existing conditions report prepared, and then the plan was drafted. And now we're heading into the legislative process and final plan adoption this spring. During the 2 public meetings leading up to this, there were participants mapped opportunities and challenges for buildings, streets, and public spaces, and public safety, and outlined vision and strategies. And then that was brought back to a second meeting where basically the results of that were to show those strategies, the draft strategies and vision to the public. And what came out of that was a consensus around encouraging new residential development downtown, as well as improving transportation access with new pedestrian and bike-friendly connections. So in that sense, it truly was an update of the 2008 goals and strategies. And public outreach, in addition to those public meetings, includes interactions with neighborhood councils and community assembly in the city of Spokane. There was a steering committee formed and 5 meetings were conducted both virtually and in person. And we also had virtual meetings with other partners. And so looking toward the future, next Tuesday, we're excited about a public open house hosted by the consultant from 6 to 8 p.m. And then into the spring, Plan Commission and City Council public hearings to consider adopting this proposal. So there are 5 goals in the plan that reflect the input received at these events from business owners, from residents, community organizations, and other partners. And these overarching goals are intended to be coordinated with each other and then also and reinforce each other and the community's vision for downtown. So I'll start with the first goal, just kind of go through an overview, and we'll pause and emphasize some specific points. But with the goal of connected and walkable downtown, the emphasis here is on the first strategy in particular, to energize streets as connections for pedestrians and bicycles. And then also to the third strategy I wanted to highlight, which is to reduce surface parking downtown. And here we see an example of an energized alley. And the point is not to repurpose alleys for access and services, from access and services, but for a small number of alleys to continue their use for access, but also to make them more enjoyable for visitors. Again, that energizing streets and alleys as connections is hoped to look at how to best allocate space within the city's right-of-way between the different ways people travel, thinking about on-street parking needs, and more uses of space for people and shops and restaurants. And that's supposed to lead to a better pedestrian environment and be more attractive. I should mention that the way the plan is arranged is that there are 60 some actions total, but 15 of them are identified as priority actions. So these are going to be the near-term actions that are going to be emphasized within the next 10 years first. And so 2 of these relate to the energizing streets as connections. And so you can see here, transforming low traffic streets that are oversized for projected traffic, as well as developing a transportation plan specific to downtown that considers all the unique needs for multiple modes and addresses the facility designs that are anticipated in a particular location. And then,
if I could mention on this point, something that's important to keep in mind on the plan's philosophical approach to significant changes to transportation, like what you see listed here in the bullets and depicted in this illustration, is that the plan describes a method, recommends really a method of approach to this, which is one in which we experiment and we take trial runs. The city council loves to call them pilot projects, so as to ease into these changes, rather than taking a significant leap into something that we may see in other cities, but we don't have a great deal of experience with in Spokane, or at least in downtown. So that's it's important. It's important to consider that the plan is not suggesting a significant fast forward in just a matter of months, where tens of millions of dollars would be outlaid in a major capital project, but instead it recommends taking a more incremental approach that's based on experimentation and gathering the results from lane changes and so on, and then implementing what the community likes the most. So that's been important for us, for the downtown partnership, and for quite a considerable portion of the business community. And it's a feature that we like, and we've emphasized in describing this and discussing this publicly. So Nate, please continue.
Yeah. Again, kind of responding to recent conversations, the conversation around the Riverside Avenue rebuild, and thinking about being really clear and deliberate about next steps. And so I think you see that reflected here, where we're definitely taking a measured approach. And so I mentioned surface parking. This is something that there was significant public interest about. One of the topics, and this acknowledges that there is space downtown for redevelopment, and bringing new jobs and improving walkability, and giving different options with potential new garages for employees in particular, but also for visitors. So yeah, Andrew, I wondered if you wanted to expand on this, given your involvement with this effort.
Yeah, the concept is pretty easy. It's that we've got a significant amount of land in the downtown core, that the area depicted in the red lines, devoted to surface parking. And if you factor in downtown beyond, just beyond, including the North Bank and maybe a little to the east, all of that together, all of the land devoted to surface parking amounts to 30%, maybe a little bit more, between 30 and 30%, 33% of our land is devoted to surface parking. And while it's an important feature for downtown's transportation system, it's an inefficient use of land, and it's something that for years the community has talked about, and we want to see this next decade be the decade in which we finally crack the code on how to make the most of a very limited resource, which is urban land. So the idea, again, is quite conceptually. It's very simple. It's that we devote over time, and as we see market demand increase, some of our surface parking lots would consolidate parking into structured parking, which is expensive, but again, it's more efficient. And then it would free up the remainder. Again, this all depends on the amount of demand that there is for downtown real estate, but it would free up the rest of those properties that are currently devoted to surface parking to other, to buildings, basically. Buildings doing whatever the market needs, but to buildings. So a portion of our, hopefully we've got a good system in place that this will initiate a good system to develop surface parking, devote a portion of that to structured parking, and then the balance will go to mixed use development, residential particularly, but commercial, retail, restaurants, everything.
Okay, and then I wanted to, we'll come back to some of that, but wanted to highlight some of the other goals. So thriving arts, culture, and history. This is about new ways to celebrate Spokane's culture and different communities in Spokane by engaging with the public realm. That's the area, just outside of buildings or places within buildings where the public interacts and with private space. And so this includes a call to update the arts plan with a focus on downtown and the public realm, creating space for small businesses that are oriented toward arts and culture. And then a great place to live, work, and play. This is another important goal area for this plan. This creates, again, kind of more interest in growth in housing development through enhancement of amenities downtown and options for parking and transit, for example. This first strategy, development with housing variety, that's highlighting us an opportunity for stronger private-public partnerships to build on existing incentives and include a better understanding of site conditions. And so I wanted to show this map. This is from the plan showing the various opportunity sites that have been identified in the plan. Some of these are carryovers from the 2008 plan that have not been completed. The 2008 plan had a similar list So some of these are carried forward, and you can see there are a number of sites within the downtown core as well as surrounding areas that have been identified. In terms of that stronger public-private partnership, a better understanding of the market conditions around each of these sites. And one example is the Rookery block, that's site number 6, where that's adjacent to the new city line that's coming, and it's located on Howard Street. So there's a lot of opportunity kind of surrounding that site in particular. We'll talk a little bit more about that site, but 2 other sites that were unfinished from the 2008 plan include those on Spokane Falls Boulevard, just directly south of Riverfront Park, between Washington and the back, basically near Stevens, on both sides of Stevens. This is part of a discussion to increase height limits in certain circumstances, such as for different massing considerations, or making the buildings above that height smaller, and then different use considerations on the street level. And so this is again, this is addressed and as an example of where increased understanding would help identify the various needs, whether they be regulatory changes or other resources that are needed for this site. So I wanted to highlight that this was mentioned in the plan. The goal of welcoming and engaging public spaces, this is another one to stop on. Again, here's the Rookery site shown. This is really broken into 2 strategies: one to activate public spaces, and then secondly to improve public spaces. And part of the activation includes the efforts efforts to program activities, which the DSP is really involved with, but also the second strategy to improve public spaces. And I think Andrew is going to kind of talk about some of the efforts around that.
Nate, is that SEPTED or Rookery block development?
This is both. This is the prevention. It's cut off there, but crime prevention through environmental design. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So SEPTED is a concept that is fairly well known. It's certainly known to DSP and bid board members, and it's relatively well known to the business community and folks engaged in architecture and design. But at any rate, it's a simple idea that one way to reduce the propensity toward property crime in a downtown area is to ensure that it is designed in such a way as to reduce opportunities to engage in unwanted and even criminal activities. So if you've got large bushes, for instance, in front of a commercial building that aren't really contributing a lot, well, then remove it, and you've got less. That's a simple idea, but there are much more sort of complex aspects to that thought process. But we, the Business Improvement District, have funded a program to allow property owners, to assist property owners financially in implementing SEPTED, and it's worked fairly well. We've had a decent number of business and property owners participate in the program. The plan says that should be continued, and not only through a grant program that we administer, but through the efforts of the police department and the security ambassadors to assess property for property owners and business owners as it relates to SEPTED. So that'll continue forward as an aspect of improvement of public spaces. A more particular, very specific, site-specific idea that is heavily emphasized in the plan is what you see in the illustration. It's the Rookery block. You see in the inset there the existing conditions, which is one of our major surface parking lots in the downtown core, and the future plan view is the larger illustration. And the idea is not so detailed as to say exactly what is going on in each section, but you'll see in the southeastern corner of the block, a public space. When real estate developers develop a large parcel, of course, they want to maximize the use of the land that they've got to space which results in rents. So one way that we foresee this working and resulting in a net gain of small public spaces like what you see again in that southeast corner of the block is through a public-private partnership, which we already have the makings of. There is a organization, an affiliate foundation to us. It's we've already done some fundraising activity through it, and the plan foresees it expanding its role and working with the city through such mechanisms as tax increment finance and the public bond market, as well, accessing the public bond market to raise funds so that we can make spaces like this work in a dynamic way, which we've not had a whole lot of experience with in downtown in the past. The one experience we have had is River Park Square, and publicly it's considered to be a controversial issue. In our minds, it's been very successful, and we certainly want to move beyond that and be able to do some great things that other cities are doing with public-private partnerships. And ultimately, we believe that this is a very good example of how that could work. So thanks.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention that there was we heard a very pronounced concern about homelessness and as well as concerns about public safety downtown, and so definitely crime prevention through environmental design is one way that this plan responds to those concerns. And then I'll just close with the final fifth goal area, the well-organized downtown for all. This is about promoting downtown and marketing, making parking easier through better off-street parking management. And so there's an example cited in the plan of efforts in other cities such as Boise. Before we pause for questions, I wanted to leave you with a call to action again to go to our website and fill out a survey. Most people is taking about 2 to 3 minutes, and there's again this virtual open house we're excited about. It's going to be moderated and conducted with live polling by the consultant on Tuesday. So please be sure to tune into that if you can. It's a sort of a drop-in format, and it'll be different topic areas for that during the program. And then there's also web links to video and commenting features. And yeah, I think that will do it for now while we pause for questions. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Nate and Andrew. We'll give everyone a chance to type some questions into the chat box now if they have them. Just to get us started, though, I'm kind of curious. Obviously this downtown plan is sort of an overarching 10-year period, but are there any projects or particular aspects of it that we can expect to see first, or what are some of the most immediate changes we could maybe expect to see if the plan were to go forward as it is now?
Yeah, I think one example would be to look at the action plan, and I can kind of navigate to that if helpful. It starts at the end of the document and includes those 15 priority actions I mentioned, and those are really detailed in terms of potential funding sources and the parties involved. So I would say look first to these first 15 priority actions. These are identified again near the end of the document, and they're calling out who's involved and what are the potential funding sources. And then the remainder of the actions are listed after this that also include kind of a range of funding and some of that information. So that's helpful.
And Nate, could you scroll down to the checklist section? This is another important, very distinct feature about this plan compared to our current downtown plan. This doesn't exist in the current plan, and I think it really is a really excellent feature that our consultants framework has provided in this process, and that would certainly answer if there's any questions, remaining questions about your question, Kevin. It would be taken care of right here, because it just creates a very simple checklist that planners in the city and developers in the private sector can have on file and get through this very quickly. Over a 10-year period, but this is something that they can have on file, rather than making their way around a fairly lengthy document. This plan is also a good bit more concise than the current downtown plan, which will be helpful and I think will mean a plan that is more implementable, if that's a word.
Excellent, thanks. And so we have a question from Kimberly Via, just wanting to know if all of the information you guys are providing is listed on the website. So would you mind kind of detailing what's on that site and what people can find there?
Yeah, it is. So the website has, there's a kind of an easy one to remember, the www.spokanedowntownplan.org. That's hosted by our consultant. There's a link to the draft and links to a short video kind of introducing the topic to people who might be interested, as well as registration information for that open house on Tuesday. And then there's a comment box form. So that's there. And then if you should be able to navigate to some of the background documents, including summaries from the public workshops and the existing conditions report and other background documents. So it should all be listed there, either at the consultant's webpage, SpokaneDowntownPlan.org, or at our City of Spokane project webpage.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thanks for that question, Kimberly. We've just got a few more minutes here left. So if anyone does have any remaining questions, feel free to put them into the chat box. And with that remaining time, Andrew or Nate, maybe would you like to go over just maybe one other aspect that you maybe haven't covered yet in the plan that you're particularly fond of, or think is an exciting aspect of this plan?
Yeah, for me, it's the activation that was mentioned, but we didn't get into too much detail. It is that the plan has a number of locations that it is identified as important public spaces. The parkade is kind of my personal favorite. The Parkade Plaza is my personal favorite. There are some great renderings in the plan that depict what that could look like if we as a community really invest in that parcel and manage it. So it's not simply that you throw money at it and walk away. It's that you invest in it, put in what the community would like to see, and then you manage it very rigorously. And all of that is detailed in the plan. Again, it's a big distinguisher for this version of the plan in comparison to the last one. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I'd also like to go to the measures of success. That these are the proposed ways to keep this plan accountable, and so there's I'll scroll to the section on. This is at the very end of the plan. It envisions that there'll be some annual reporting to the public about the progress and tracking. That will help inform our various partners, the city, as well as the DSP and others and private organizations, to inform them what they can do each year to help realize this plan. And so we've got measures such as new affordable housing units, number of new residential units, office vacancies, commercial space created, retail vacancies, and other measures that are proposed. So if you're interested, please check that out, and we'd love to hear more information about whether you think these are the right measures.
Excellent. Well, thank you both for sharing all that information. We appreciate it. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Andrew, Nate, thank you so much for being on with us today. We appreciate all the information you provided, and just want to remind people that if you do have questions, you can visit that website that Nate listed, SpokaneDowntownPlan.org, where you can learn about the plan and also provide your own comments on the form they have there, as well as the public open house that will be on March 16th. So a lot of opportunities to give your input, and looking forward to hearing all those. So thank you everyone for joining us. If you'd like to keep an eye out for future 30 Minutes with sessions, just go to our website, downtownspokane.org, and go on the events page where we'll list future upcoming sessions. And besides that, we just appreciate you joining us today. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
Thank you.